This is your Barbados Today evening news update for Wednesday, October 31. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. The latest round of dismissals has drawn the ire of the National Union of Public Workers. It comes as 55 employees at the Barbados Agricultural Development and Marketing Corporation received their termination papers this morning. NUPW Deputy General Secretary Delcia Burke tells Barbados Today the retrenchment is in breach of the Employment Rights Act as due process was not followed.
The Employment Rights Act says that you have to consult with the person, trade union, or with the workers themselves if they don't have a trade union. And you have to go and talk to him, explaining how you are laying off, who you are laying off, giving the information in terms of statistics of the persons, the records, and that sort of thing. Right. You don't just send off somebody too. That's in breach of the Employment Rights Act. It is my understanding that rural development has been also told that they have to send off people today, and they only met with us 3 days ago.
So how is the union going to respond to this?
Well, they would have to go to the Employment Rights Tribunal to overturn what it says. That is how existing workers were paid as a year since, because the process was not followed.
Meantime, NUPW President Akani McDowell says the union's executive body has been listening to the issues affecting retrenched workers, as well as looking at ways at retraining them in the pursuit of new careers.
I think many of them would have indicated to the union that there were some issues with the process, and obviously it means that the union has to be able to meet with the relevant authorities to resolve those issues that they would have indicated. We would have also spoken to them about the options that were available to them via the mitigation unit through the social partnership. And I believe many of them would have received a piece of paper which is here, which also indicated some of the options that are available to them after they have left the public service. So the union has a responsibility to make sure that the mitigation unit meets its objectives and that each and every one of those retrenched workers find employment, whether it be in the public service or if it means or in the private sector.
In other news, the Central Bank of Barbados says the economy will post no growth as 2018 comes to a close. In his review, Governor Cliviston Haynes announced the economy had contracted by 0.5% during the first 9 months of the year. He said the bank now expects negative growth of 0.25% to 0.75% for the rest of the year. But there was good news on government's finances.
The public finances also improved during the first half of the fiscal year on the basis of improved collections, the impact of reduced debt service payments, and expenditure restraint. As a result, preliminary estimates are that the overall deficit declined to 34 million, while there was a primary surplus of 235 million. The enhanced revenue performance reflected the impact of a boost to the corporation tax intake of 48.9 million, as several new firms in the international business sector paid taxes for the first time. In addition, the foreign exchange fee introduced in 2017 and some of the new taxes introduced in the mid-year budget contributed 24 million and 18 million respectively. The new fuel tax provided just over $8 million since its inception due to the late transfer of earned revenue to the Treasury. However, the fall in import demand, together with the repeal of the NSRL, led to reduced indirect taxes, including those for excises and import duties.
In sports, Barbadian surfer Chelsea Tuak continues her sterling performance on the international stage. Tuak ended this year's season as the number 2 ranked female surfer on the World Surf League's North American Regional Rankings for the second consecutive year. She also finds herself among the top 20 female surfers in the world on the WSL's Qualification Series International Rankings, with 1 event remaining. No other Barbadian surfer has ever cracked the top 25, and Tuak has done so over the past 5 years.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbors, we head to St. Lucia, where Security Minister Senator Herman Gill Francis says police officers accused of committing extrajudicial killings during the 2010-2011 Operation Restore Confidence will be prosecuted. Riani Isidore of HTS News Force has the story.
A non-negotiable stipulation the United States government expects to be carried out if St. Lucia wants the Leahy Law sanctions imposed on the police force in 2013 lifted. The Leahy Law sanctions isolate foreign security agencies accused of committing human rights abuses from receiving U.S.-sponsored military assistance, which includes training programs and funding initiatives. Security Minister Francis asserted the Leahy Law sanctions were self-inflicted and accused local whistleblowers for triggering the U.S. embargo.
And finally, on the international front, Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan appeals for calm following the acquittal of a Christian woman who had been on death row for almost 8 years for blasphemy. The Supreme Court's ruling on the case set off violent protests by hardliners who support strong blasphemy laws. More in this report from Reuters Television.
It's a landmark case in Pakistan that sparked angry protests and death threats from ultra-Islamist groups and cheers from human rights advocates. Pakistan's Supreme Court has overturned the conviction of a Christian woman who'd been sentenced to death for blasphemy against Islam. The court freed Asia Bibi, a mother of 4, on Wednesday. Reuters' Drazan Yorjik explains it's a polarizing issue in modern Pakistan.
This is a landmark case for Pakistan in many ways. Legally, it is extremely rare for a blasphemy conviction to be overturned, and culturally, it sort of goes to the heart of which way Pakistan is heading as a country. Many from the sort of more liberal side of Pakistan who wanted to become a more tolerant society oppose the blasphemy laws and say they have become abused and a way for the majority Muslim population and the hardline Islamists to persecute the minorities.
Bibi had been living on death row since 2010 when she became the first woman to be sentenced to death under the country's blasphemy laws. She was convicted after allegedly making derogatory remarks about Islam to her neighbour. Supporters of the Islamist TLP party immediately condemned Bibi's acquittal, blocking roads in several major cities.
And that's news and sports. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.